Welcome to today's episode of the Mindset Mentor Podcast. I am your host, Rob Dial, and if you have not yet done so, hit that subscribe button so that you never miss another podcast episode. And if you're out there and you love this podcast, please do me a massive favor. Give us a rating and review on whatever platform you're listening to this on. If you're listening to it on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, just give us a rating and review. The reason why is because the more positive rating and reviews that we get, the more that they actually show this to people who have never listened to us before. And that way the podcast can grow. So if you would do that, I would greatly appreciate it. Today, I'm going to be talking about 5 hobbies that you need to create or strengthen in order to change your life. When you look at your life, there's really not a whole lot of things you need to do to change it. And before I talk about this is one thing I want to say. There's nothing wrong with your life as it is. If you're going into it trying to fix something, or you think that something is wrong in your life, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm going into self-development. I want to find out these hobbies so that I can fix all of the BS in my life. There's nothing wrong. The only thing that's wrong is that we think that there's something wrong. Everything in life, whether it's good, whether it's bad, struggle, challenge, all of it is good for you in some sort of way. All of it is beneficial. Let's put it this way. Instead of good or bad, it is beneficial for the expansive human being that you are. It is something that is brought to you, the challenge, the opportunity, whatever it is, to make you more of an expansive being, to expand into a greater version of you. Now, with that being said, there's nothing wrong with you. And so I want to go into this episode not saying like, hey, develop these 5 hobbies because you're completely screwed up. That's not what I want to say. I want to say develop these 5 hobbies so that you can expand into a greater version of yourself. Okay, so we're going to go through these 5 hobbies, and I want you to figure out through each of them. If you have pen and paper, you can pull it out and you can start jotting down what are these 5 hobbies that you want to create, and just throw some ideas down as I'm speaking about them, okay? The first hobby that you need to create in order to change your life, you need one hobby to make you money. One hobby to make you money. What is something that would be a fun way to make money? Now, you have to realize there's many ways, like there's crazy ways to make. There's millions of ways to make millions of dollars. Most people just think, oh, I have to go work for somebody else. Yeah, you can if you want, but you can also make money other ways as well. Now, people who listen to my podcast, and I always get messages, they're like, Rob, I have an entire family. I have bills I have to pay. I have a mortgage. I have car insurance, all of this stuff. I get it. But can you decide, if you don't want to be at that job anymore, that you will create some sort of transition plan to do what it is that you want to do in the next few years if you don't want to be doing that anymore? Or can you find a job, if you do want to have a job and you do want to work for someone else, can you have a job that feels fun, that feels like a hobby? So when I say you need to develop a hobby that makes you money, I'll give you a couple examples off the top of my head. What I do feels like a hobby. Like I love what I do. If I got paid nothing to do what I do, which for years, this podcast, I got paid nothing to put this podcast on. I just did it. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of episodes because it just felt right. But it also pushed me to grow myself more, to learn more about humans and about myself so that I could therefore teach it as well. I love doing this. I love learning about humans. I love reading about neurology and psychology and early childhood development and trauma and how we become the people that we are, because then it's like a big puzzle that we're putting together. But can you find a hobby that makes you money? Another example that I can think of that's quite simple is, let's say that you love making jewelry, right? There's just something about it. Or maybe you've never even made jewelry before, but there's something that feels intriguing to you about, like you feel an energetic pull towards learning about this thing. Well, maybe what you do is you go, you know what, I'm going to start, there's jewelry making classes all over. There's jewelry making classes online. I'm going to take some jewelry making classes and I'm going to try to learn how to make jewelry. And you start making it, and you're not doing it first off because you want to make money. You're doing it because it's fun. You're doing it because it feels exciting to you to do this. And so you make some jewelry and then go, you know what? Maybe I'll start an Etsy store. You start selling some jewelry. Maybe I'll go to a farmer's market. Like the thing that I love about farmer's markets, we go to one every single Sunday, is everybody there has basically figured out a way to make money off of a hobby, right? So there's a bunch of different jewelry ladies that are there, and they make all this different jewelry, and all ladies go buy jewelry from them. There's a lady there that bakes the most amazing stuff with very low sugar and no gluten and no preservatives and all that stuff. And she just loves this stuff. So she's obsessed with it, and she created a business around it. It's awesome. There's another guy that's there, and he loves farming. And so we get our eggs from him. There's another lady that's there, and her husband also love farming. They love raising cattle, and they have like 40 different cattle on their property, and they roam freely, and they're butchers, right? So it's like there's another guy there that loves coffee, and so he's developed his own system of roasting coffee and creating coffee. There's another person there that loves juice, and so they created this incredible juice that they make. And so there's another guy that loves honey and he like bees. And so he's literally makes honey, and he makes all these different types of honey that are mixed with like lavender and all kinds of amazing stuff. But what you're looking at is somebody who found a hobby and then found a way to make money off of it, right? So is there some sort of hobby out there that maybe you're making money off of it now, maybe you're not, but you feel an energetic pull to learn and get better at this thing? And if you can find that thing, I want you to pursue it. Can you find a hobby that can make you some money? And maybe it becomes your full-time gig. Maybe it just becomes a thing that you do on the side and it brings you some extra revenue. And now you can take your kids and your family to a cool trip once a year because you put so much time into your hobby. But you need to have one hobby that makes you money. The second hobby that you need to have is a hobby that keeps you healthy and in shape.